There's a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and guess what? We can use it, and we are using it every single day of our lives, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. It's my turn now. Thank you. Thank you. And as we come together in this spirit of the 2 or 3 gathered together for a purpose larger than ourselves, and looking at our theme today, a guided tour of your life. And as we look at our lives and our unfoldment, and all the divine appointments, I believe everything really is a divine appointment, even if it looks negative. It's still part of the divine appointment for what it is that we need to learn to grow, to expand, and to evolve, and to move to the next level. And it's really interesting. A friend of mine was in Maui, and he said there was a beautiful clear pool, and he noticed that there was some little twigs showing through. So he went in and he kind of dug the twigs out to look at the surface of the silt and the beauty of the pool. And the more he kept doing this, more twigs kept coming up. And what he realized that these beautiful pools in Maui, where the very foundation was the debris. And the more debris that he took out, he realized he was going to destroy the foundation of the beauty of the pool. And equating it with our lives, that we think, oh, is that ever a mistake? I can't tell you. There are no mistakes in consciousness. It's what it is that we're attracting to us that we need to learn and grow. And it's archaic and sometimes cliche as that sounds, it's just the truth. We draw into our lives what it is that we need to grow. And someone said, well, I just feel like everything's falling apart. And I said, it is. It's falling apart so it can fall together at a higher level. People tear things down. It's the breakdown for the breakthrough to build something beautiful, something monumental within ourselves. Our daily life is our temple and our religion. And when we really get that, even those low energy days, we think, oh, right? There is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we are using it every single day of our lives. So what he got was that these beautiful pools that are within us, those pools of consciousness, the very foundation of those pools are every experience that we have ever experienced. They're not good or bad. We put good and bad on them. But the truth is, they're just experiences. They're experiences that we needed so we could grow and unfold. That we are here by divine appointment. That's right. Nothing happens by chance. Everyone who's tuning in at this moment tuned in for a divine purpose. All of us that are gathered, to 2 or 3 that are gathered here today, we're here for a divine purpose because there is a spirit in community. And I say it, that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So the synergistic mind of God can arise through us. And when that mind arises through us, something is quickened. And I call it the quickening of the Holy Spirit. Call it what you may, but it is something where we get it. And we can never go back to the way that it was. And when we understand that, then we can traverse our lives a little more gracefully rather than feeling it's the end of the world every time something happens that doesn't meet our expectation or it's the unexpected. So when these things occur, it's up to us to recognize that everything is still working, that it always works itself out, it always has, and it always will. I remember that in 1977, my husband made his transition. He passed over. And I was due to speak in Kona for a seminar. So I took my daughter, of course, my 7-year-old daughter, and I took my mother-in-law, who was quite, you can imagine, bereft that her 34-year-old son passed away of cancer. I took my mother, and I took my friend who was like a nanny to my daughter. And I treated everyone to this trip to Hawaii because I felt we all needed just to breathe deeply, and I would do my seminar. And it was so wonderful because when you throw yourself into something that you love, the healing process begins. And someone says, well, when do you get over someone dying? I said, you never get over it. You know, when people say, when are you going to get over it? When are you going to get over it? No, you get on with it. And getting on with it, in the process of getting on with it, you heal and you unfold. So the day comes when we cease to weep that it's over, we begin to rejoice that it happened and that we had these amazing experiences. And so while we were in Kona, I thought we should go over to Maui and we should go to Hana. There's 7 sacred pools in Hana that everyone talks about. And I thought, oh, that would be really wonderful. Now remember, I'm 32 years old, and I've got, you know, my little entourage, and we fly over to Maui, and we rent a van, and this really cute, you know, driver's giving us the tour, and he's showing us everything. And all of a sudden, the van goes and stops. And so he tries to start it and tries to start it, won't start. He's on the intercom to the van company. Trips to Hana, right? But there are a lot of other sacred pools in Hana, and my little daughter jumped out, and she, you know, was fully dressed, and pretty soon I knew that she was on a waterfall, and they were doing wee. It was just all, but it was so interesting because we broke down in front of the Tedeschi Pineapple Winery. And so we all went in and we began drinking pineapple wine, which is really delicious. And it's like pineapple juice. And you think you're drinking pineapple juice, but you're not. And after a while, you know, he goes, oh, the van, you know, it should be here now. Like 2 hours passed. We could have cared less if the van came, right? This pool will do fine, right? And we had so much fun at that winery and just the pools that were there. And it's so interesting. You think you have to get to this place, but the guided tour of our life will stop in front sometimes of a pineapple winery. You make the best of it. Oh, make the best of it. And the relationships that come out of that, the people that we meet, are so interesting. And there's a great story, a legend, about an old monastery that was falling apart, and they were spiritually parched, and no one was going, and even though it was a beautiful part of the forest in the country, and one day a stranger came to the door, and he knocked on the door, and they let him in, and they gave him lodging. And what happened was, the next morning, they could hardly wait to what this mystical stranger had to say. And he said, last night, I had a dream. He said, you had a dream? He said, yes. I dreamed that one of you was the Messiah. One of us is the Messiah? Oh my goodness, which one? And they all turned to look at one another. One of us is the Messiah? He said, yes. And they said, which one? He said, no, I'm not at liberty to say. And as quickly as he arrived at the doorstep, that quickly, he disappeared. And they kept looking at one another. One of us is the Messiah. It was revealed to our mystical stranger. And they treated each other with a little more kindness, with a little more love, a little more understanding. Not so quick to judge the other. And pretty soon there was an energy in conversation that was more joyous, because we know that joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God. And out of that, people began visiting the monastery. Out of that, people began coming in. Other monks began joining younger monks. And pretty soon there was such a light in the forest that people came and gathered because they just wanted to sit in an energy field of so much love. And pretty soon the older priests and monks died. And the new order arose, and it grew. And what they discovered is that they never discovered which one was the Messiah, because they were all the Messiah. That each of us is the Christ. Each of us is the Buddha. Each of us is the Holy I Am Presence. Each of us carries the mantle of our spiritual stature with us. And everyone and anyone who comes within our energy field is healed and uplifted in our presence. The guided tour of our lives is we come into the planet. We come out with amazing experiences, a lot of suffering. And Dostoevsky said that I may be worthy of my suffering. And when we are worthy of our suffering, then we heal. We begin to take this wound. It becomes a sacred wound, and we serve others out of it. And out of that, others are uplifted in our presence, because each is the Christ. Each is the Buddha. Each is the holy I am presence that we are addressing one with the other. The unity and diversity at the World of Parliament of Religions this week was amazing, because so much diversity. And the Tibetan monks started out with sand paintings in various colors, making a huge mandala, starting out with a little tiny center. And suddenly, the most intricate mandala you had ever seen. And at the end of the conference, they take their brush and they go, and they destroy it, because as easily as they created this in 1 week, life is temporary, and we are here to celebrate the temporary. And when we celebrate the temporary, we are celebrating each and every day the eternal moment in the temporary. And that eternality goes before us and prepares the way, because we are all transcendent, each and every one of us. Think of what we have transcended in our lives. It is pretty amazing. And when we come together with this recognition, realizing you're the Messiah, you're the Messiah, you're the Messiah. Each of us is that Messiah and that light. Each of us is that Christ. Each of us allows ourselves to rise up and to create the experiences that we want in life. We're here to grow and unfold and to experience joy. That means being in the world, having our experiences, having our wonderful laughter and the energy and our shared tears together. Because I believe that every tear that falls, a flower grows in the consciousness of our own heart and soul. I believe. And those were like the 3 things when you go to New Orleans that you're supposed to do. And remember, this is 1977, and New Orleans was just amazing. And I remember I was sunbathing, and that this little guy kept, coming over and telling me how pretty I was and all this, and I go, thank you, thank you, thank you, get out of my face. And I just, just had him at arm's length, and it was just really, really irritating on one level that he kept telling me how pretty I was. Because he was at least 21 years old. I was 32. He is a kid. What is he, So finally, I just, I had to I said, so lovely here in New Orleans. And he says, yes, it really is. And he said, what is your name? I said, Reverend Sharron Stroud, thinking that's going to really put him off. But when you're wearing a bathing suit and you're saying you're Reverend Sharron Stroud at 32 years old, it just doesn't work somehow. And so then I said, and what is your name? And he said, my name's Kevin Fountain. Now suddenly he's piqued my interest. I said, are you related to Pete Fountain, the famous, trumpet player and musician? He's my daddy. I said, oh, how nice. He said, would you like to come and hear him tonight? And I said, no, I shifted. So I've just totally shifted. And I said, well, the truth is, I've read, we went on the riverboat, and we went to the Two Sisters, and that's the only thing I really have left to do. I've, done my speaking engagement. Yes, I would. He says, well, I'll pick you up tonight at your room. So, my mother-in-law's there, and she's all excited. I'm going to hear Pete Fountain. And I said, oh, he's just a little kid, 21 years old. And he picks me up, and we, go into here. It was just magnificent. I mean, what an amazing, amazing musician, right? And then we have a special after the scenes. We go backstage into his private quarters, and so I get to, interact with Pete and just tell him how much I admired his music and all of that. And he said, well, when are you leaving? I said, oh, we're leaving tomorrow. And he says, son, you get the limo and you take this girl and her family to the airport. So out of just being a little bit receptive, right, I experienced this amazing, wonderful, picked us up in the limousine. My mother-in-law's going, and Patricia's going, oh, this is cool. She's 7. And we corresponded for 10 years, Kevin Fountain and I, and he got married and, all of that. And it was such an interesting connection, because when we're looking at the guided tour of our life, many times, we're putting our hand out like this. But the universe wants to give us what we've already put out there, and it's right there sitting beside us next to the swimming pool. And sometimes it breaks down in front of the Pineapple Winery. Other times it's the stranger at our door saying, you are the Messiah, you are the Christ, you are the Buddha, you are the holy I am presence, regardless of color, race, creed, or sexual orientation. We are all one. Do you agree?
Yeah.
We are all one. We come in knowing this as children. We have to, many of us, we're programmed in such a way that no longer serves us. We got to release all of that. And when we release that, we feel that divine connection. We can move through what no longer serves us and come out on the other side of who and what we are. And this is why I love our way of life. This is why in the 40 years of my ministry, and I look back on all of it, that there is such grace and a lot of tears and a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of understanding and a lot of joy and a lot of laughter and a lot of energy. And, as a woman coming into a field that was basically men, I was one of 2 women in the United Church of Religious Science. And when we would go to conventions, they go, oh, the wife's over there, go through that door. And I go, I am the minister. And it was really interesting growing through all of that and finally coming to myself where I didn't feel I had to be defensive, and every once in a while it comes up, but not like it used to. And just to embrace all of it, because you know what? The guided tour of our life is every single experience we have ever had. The little debris at clarity of our pool and those eyes is all that we have experienced. So it's not debris at all. They are beautiful experiences to bring us to this level of awareness, this level of opportunity to go to the next level. So today I greet you, but not quite as the world greets you. I greet you with profound esteem. I do know who you are because you're my reflection. And I love you, and I know that you love me, and we have that energy. And we know where we are going, don't we? Where are we going? Higher yet. Where are we going? Higher yet. Where are we going? Higher yet. And so it is. God bless you.